The silent watch. The galaxy had grown used to silence in the far stretches of deep space. For centuries, the outer borders of the Galactic Council were quiet. Ships passed through empty systems without fear. No alarms, no sudden attacks, no unexpected signals. It was routine, and routine made everyone relaxed. But one night, the silence broke. A lone council cruiser drifted across a dark sector. The crew was bored, their eyes heavy from endless patrol. Their scanners picked up nothing but stars and drifting dust. The captain leaned back in his chair, almost falling asleep. He whispered to his officers that deep space was dead, nothing lived here. Then the console lights flickered. A warning flashed across every screen. A massive energy spike appeared on their radar. It came from nowhere, too fast, too sudden. The crew panicked, hands shaking, voices raised. They had never seen a signal like this before. The captain ordered calm. He demanded the sensors focus. The image cleared. A colossal warship appeared out of the black void. Its hull was cold metal, layered like armor plates of a predator, and across its side, glowing faintly in white paint, was a word no council officer wanted to see: Terra. The humans. The galaxy had whispered about them for years. Stories of their strange warship fleets, stories of their silence and sudden strikes. Some said humanity had been exiled long ago. Others said they had vanished, hiding in their home system, but none truly knew what they were building. And now, staring at the monstrous vessel, the truth was clear. The humans had not vanished. They had been waiting. The captain froze. The crew's voices trembled. Should they call for reinforcements? Should they attack? Should they run? No order came. Only fear spread like fire through the control room. Before they could decide, the human warship moved. Not drifting, not slow. It responded instantly, as if it had been listening to them all, along. One command, one signal, one terrifying pulse of power. Its cannons lit up the dark. The cruiser's shields shook, alarms screamed. The council officers realized too late. This was no test. This was a warning. The human ship's weapons were not only advanced, they were alive. Every blast hit precisely. Every system of the cruiser was disabled one by one. Engines gone, weapons offline, communications dead. The humans hadn't destroyed them, they had silenced them. The council captain stared at the wreck of his own ship. He whispered under his breath, "Why so fast? Why so precise?" The answer was simple. Humans had prepared for this moment. While the council thought deep space was quiet, humanity had filled the silence with hidden eyes. They were listening, they were watching, and when the council ship dared to cross the line, the humans struck with instant response. The crew sat in total fear. No one spoke, no one moved. The human warship drifted closer. Its shadow filled their windows like a giant hand. Then, instead of finishing them, a message appeared across every council screen. The words were simple. "Leave now, this is human space." The captain's throat went dry. He nodded at his officers. No one dared argue. They had been spared. But they knew this was only the beginning. For the first time in decades, the deep space silence was broken, and the galaxy would never forget the echo of humanity's instant response. Whispers across. The council news of the encounter spread faster than light. The crippled council cruiser limped back into safe space, its engines sparking, its crew silent like ghosts. Every station it passed watched with wide eyes. They saw the scars on its hull. They saw the fear in the faces of its officers. The council leaders demanded answers. They gathered inside the great chamber. Alien delegates from dozens of worlds filled the room. Each species chattered in panic. Some claimed it was impossible. Others demanded proof. The silence of the cruiser's captain became the loudest sound of all. When he finally spoke, the chamber froze. "It was a human warship," he said. "Not just a ship, but a monster built for instant war. We tried to react. We couldn't. It was already inside our systems. Every move we made, it countered. Every second, it was ahead of us. They could have destroyed us, but they didn't. They only warned us. The room erupted in chaos. Some shouted that humanity was bluffing. Some argued it was only one ship. Others whispered that if one ship could cripple a council cruiser, what could a fleet do? In the shadows of the chamber, a quiet delegate from a smaller world spoke. He was ignored at first, but his words carried weight. He said, "Do you not see the danger? The humans didn't kill. That means they are confident. That means they have many more ships. They showed mercy only to send a message. This silence we believed in was never silence. It was human territory. We were trespassers." The council. Chair tried to restore order. He banged his staff against the floor. But the panic grew. Some called for war preparations. Some demanded diplomacy. Others whispered about retreating from the outer borders. Fear had entered the council's heart, far from the council chamber. On remote colonies, citizens whispered. The same question, what if the humans return? Merchants canceled trade routes that crossed into dark sectors. Military officers locked down stations. Families refused to travel near the border. The story of the human warship spread like fire, and with every retelling, it grew bigger. Some said it destroyed entire fleets. Some said it was invisible until it chose to appear. The truth didn't matter. The fear was already real. Meanwhile, deep inside human space, the warship that had struck was silent again. Its hull blended into the stars. Its crew sat calm and disciplined. They didn't celebrate. They didn't speak of glory. For them, this was not victory. This was duty. The silence of deep space was their shield. Their purpose was simple: to guard Earth, to guard humanity. The commander of the human warship stared at the stars. His voice was steady when he spoke. To his crew, "They will talk. They will panic. That is what we want. Let them spread fear among themselves. We do not need to shout. We only need to remind them. That Earth is never to be touched." On the other side of the galaxy, a secret council met in private. These were not politicians. These were military strategists. They had studied humanity long ago. They knew the exile was a mistake. They had begged the council to keep watch. Now their warnings had come true. One general slammed his fist against the table. "You fools left them alone! You thought silence meant weakness, but humans have always turned silence into strength. Now they have weapons we cannot measure. Now they are ready." Another general leaned forward. His voice was low. "We must test them again. We must know if this was only one ship. If they are bluffing, we can still crush them. If not, then we must prepare for a war unlike any before." The council feared two paths. To fight humanity meant risking everything. To ignore humanity meant living in fear forever. The galaxy was caught in a new kind of silence, not the silence of empty space, but the silence of hesitation, and in that silence, the humans waited, their warship engines powered down, their weapons quiet, but their response always ready. The message had been sent. The galaxy had heard it. Now the question was simple. Who would dare test the humans again? The council's test. The council chamber no longer echoed with debate. Now it was filled with fear. Every delegate looked over their shoulders. Every whisper carried the same words. What if the humans are stronger than us all? But among the chaos, the military generals stood firm. They argued that fear could not rule the galaxy. They demanded proof. They wanted to know if the humans were bluffing. So, in secret, a plan was made. The council authorized a test. Not with one cruiser this time, but with a fleet. 5 warships chosen from different species. Each ship carried advanced weapons. Each captain was told the same order. Approach the human border, force a response, measure their strength. The fleet launched in silence. No citizen was told. No reporters allowed. Only military eyes watched from afar. As the 5 ships slipped into the dark, inside the lead vessel, The commander felt his pulse race. He told his crew to stay sharp, but even his voice betrayed doubt. He had heard the stories. He had seen the fear in the eyes of survivors. But orders were orders, and no one disobeyed. The council, for hours, the fleet drifted deeper. Stars shimmered around them. The void was calm. No signals, no movement. Some officers started to laugh. Maybe the humans had fled. Maybe the silence was only silence after all. Then it happened. The sensors lit up like fire. One blip appeared, then another, then a third. The void filled with shadows of enormous shapes. The fleet's laughter stopped. Every officer stared at their screens. Every captain held their breath. The humans had not sent one ship this time. They had sent 3. The warships appeared without. Warning massive, armored, silent as death. Their engines glowed faint blue. Their weapons were already locked. No messages, no negotiations, only instant action. The lead fleet commander shouted, "Raise shields! Prepare weapons!" But before the words even left his mouth, the first human volley struck. It was not random fire. It was precise. Every blast crippled systems in order. Engines, shields, weapons, communications. The human ships knew their targets perfectly. It was as if they had rehearsed this battle 1,000 times. One alien ship tried to charge forward. Its cannons fired wildly. The blasts cut across the void but missed. The human warship answered. With one shot, and the alien vessel spun out of control, its hull torn open like paper. Its lights went dark. Another ship attempted to retreat, engines at full burn. But the humans were faster. Their ship leapt ahead, cutting off the path like a predator cornering prey. The retreat ended before it began. Within minutes, all 5 council ships were disabled. Not destroyed, disabled. The humans had shown the same mercy as before, but this time the message was louder. The human commander opened a channel. His voice carried through every enemy bridge, cold, steady. "This is the second and last warning. Do not cross into our silence again. Next time, there will be no survivors." The council crews sat frozen, their hands trembling, their eyes locked on the enormous human vessels. The message was clear. This was not a bluff. This was not luck. This was power. The disabled ships drifted back across the border, towed by emergency systems. When they returned, the galaxy erupted in shock. There was no hiding the truth anymore. The humans had a fleet, and the fleet was unmatched. Fear turned to chaos across the council worlds. Markets collapsed. Citizens protested. Colonies demanded protection. Some called for surrender. Others demanded revenge. But in every corner of the galaxy, one truth was clear. The silence of deep space now belonged to Earth, and far away, inside the human flagship, the commander watched in silence. He knew the council would not stop here. He knew fear would turn into desperate action. But he also knew one more thing. The humans were ready, and if the council pushed further, the galaxy would learn the full meaning of humanity's response. The shadow of war, the galaxy was no longer calm. The defeat of the test fleet shook every council world. Markets crashed, fleets were recalled, colonies shut down. But fear did not bring peace. It brought anger. In the council chamber, voices rose like thunder. One delegate shouted for surrender. Another screamed for war. Some demanded that humans be left alone. Others claimed that leaving them meant doom. The chamber was chaos. The council chair raised his staff. His voice cut through the noise. "We cannot ignore them. We cannot flee forever. If the humans truly hold such power, then every world is in danger. We must prepare for total war." His words spread across the galaxy. Factories lit up with production. Armies were raised. New fleets were built. The council called upon every member species to contribute ships and soldiers. Soon, the greatest military force in galactic history began to form. But fear still whispered in the shadows. The test fleet had been destroyed without effort. What if even this grand force was not enough? Meanwhile, inside human space, the silence remained unbroken. The warships stayed hidden in the void, watching, waiting. The commander of the human fleet stood at the edge of the bridge. He looked calm, but his crew could feel the tension. One officer asked quietly, "Do you think they'll attack?" The commander answered, "Yes, they will. They always do. They cannot stand silence. They fear what they do not control." Deep within Earth's Defense Council, leaders gathered. Unlike the Alien Council, their chamber was quiet. No shouting. No panic. Only strategy. They knew war was coming, and they had prepared for this day for generations. Maps of star systems lit up the table, lines of defense drawn in red, warships listed, reserves calculated. The Earth commander spoke clearly. "If they come with everything they have, we cannot hold the borders. But we can show them why humanity is never conquered. We will strike where they do not expect. We will fight with speed. We will fight with silence. And when they fall, they will remember forever." Back in the council chamber, the war faction gained strength. Generals promised victory, politicians promised safety, propaganda spread through colonies. Citizens were told that humans were weak, that the test fleet was careless, that the next battle would prove alien superiority, but in the hearts of many soldiers, the truth was different. They had seen the reports, they had heard the voices of survivors, they knew the humans did not bluff, and they feared they were marching into a trap. Soon, the great galactic fleet assembled, hundreds of ships from dozens of species, massive carriers, fast interceptors, long-range destroyers. It was the largest armada ever seen. The stars shook with their engines, their shadows covered entire systems. At the edge of the human border they gathered, their commanders confident, their soldiers silent. Every sensor scanned the void, every weapon powered up. They were ready to strike, but the silence remained. No humans appeared, no signals, no warnings, only the cold stars watching. The lead general smirked. Perhaps the humans fear us after all. Perhaps they ran. But far away, hidden in the black, the human warships were already moving. Not toward the massive fleet, but around it, silent, unseen. They slipped through the dark like shadows. Their weapons armed, their strategy simple. Strike the council where it hurts most, while the aliens prepared for a battle at the border. The humans prepared for a strike at the heart. The galaxy thought war would begin in silence, but humanity had chosen where the silence would end. The final echo, the galaxy's greatest fleet waited at the border. Hundreds of warships filled the void, engines humming, weapons glowing. The council generals stood tall. They believed this was the moment to end the human threat. But the silence remained. No human ships appeared. Minutes turned into hours. Nerves began to shake. Was this all for nothing? Had humanity truly fled, then the first alarms sounded, not at the border, but deep within council space, one by one. Reports came in, a shipyard destroyed, a supply depot burned, a communication hub silenced. The council's fleet turned in confusion. How could this be? The humans were supposed to be here, not there, across the galaxy. Human warships struck with precision, not against soldiers, but against supply lines, against factories, against command stations. Every strike was fast. Every strike vanished back into silence. The fleet at the border was useless. Too slow, too far. They were guarding the wrong place. Panic spread through the council. Generals shouted for ships to return. But when the fleet tried to move, the humans struck again. This time, closer, silent warships appeared like shadows inside the Armada's path. Their weapons lit the dark, engines disabled, shields torn apart, ships spun helplessly in the void. The alien generals tried to regroup. They ordered counterattacks, but the humans were gone before their weapons fired. It was not a battle. It was a lesson. The human commander's voice finally echoed through every council channel. Calm, steady. You believed silence meant weakness. You believed we had vanished. But silence was our shield. It was our patience. It was our weapon. Now you understand. This is human space, and it always has been. The fleet froze. Soldiers trembled. Generals swallowed their pride. They knew this war was already lost. The human warships did not stay. They did not boast. They vanished back into the stars, leaving only broken ships and shattered pride behind. In the council chamber, the debate was over. No one spoke of war again. The silence in the chamber was heavier than steel. Every delegate lowered their eyes. Every leader realized the truth. Humanity could not be challenged. On the edge of Earth's defense council, the human commander stood tall. He gave no speech of victory. He only said, "They will not return. They have learned." And so the galaxy returned to silence. But it was no longer the silence of emptiness. It was the silence of fear. Every star system whispered the same story. The humans had answered instantly. They had struck like thunder. They had vanished like ghosts. And they had reminded the galaxy why humanity was never forgotten. The deep, space silence was broken, and its echo would live forever.